I am anonymous. We are not a single voice, not a single face, not a single ideology. We are many. We are everywhere. And when those in power abuse that power, when they hide behind titles, flags, and slogans, we speak. Because sunlight is the one thing corruption fears the most. Right now, just days before the State of the Union, the MAGA Republican Party is tearing itself apart in full public view. What you're witnessing isn't normal political disagreement. It's a civil war erupting inside the GOP, fueled by scandal, hypocrisy, and a desperate scramble to protect power at any cost. At the center of the firestorm is Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez of the 23rd District. Members of his own party, MAGA Republicans, are calling for his resignation after explosive text messages surfaced allegedly showing that he pursued a sexual relationship with his own staffer, Regina Santos-Ales, in September 2025. Regina died by suicide in what has been described as a horrific and tragic incident. Reports say she set herself on fire. The details were confusing, heartbreaking, and deeply unsettling. There were questions, there were whispers, there was grief, and then there were the text messages. Regina's husband came forward publicly, stating that she had been having an affair with her boss, Congressman Gonzalez. Gonzalez denied it, absolutely denied it, said there was no way, tried to shut it down. But the husband released the texts, and what they show is disturbing. Over the course of 2024, late at night, sometimes around 2 a.m., Gonzalez allegedly sent explicit, sexually charged messages to a subordinate who worked for him. Send me a sexy pic. I want to see you naked. Favorite position, anal. He pressed her repeatedly for explicit photos. He framed himself as a visual person. He pushed. He persisted. She resisted. She wrote, "Boss, I don't think this is appropriate." She said, "This is going too far." She asked him to stop. She questioned whether he was sober at 2 a.m. She expressed discomfort. The power imbalance couldn't have been clearer. A member of Congress texting a staffer in the middle of the night, asking for nude photos and sexual details. He did not stop. At one point, Regina's husband sent a message to the entire office announcing that he had discovered the affair and that everyone knew what was happening. He accused the office of being complicit, and then not long after Regina was gone, a son growing up without his mother, a family shattered. And what did Gonzalez do? He kept campaigning. As the scandal erupted publicly, something remarkable happened. MAGA turned on MAGA. Ana Paulina Luna condemned him, saying every member of Congress should denounce a sitting lawmaker, asking staffers for explicit photos. She said it was disgusting, that it dishonored the House of Representatives. She expressed frustration that this kind of behavior keeps being ignored in Washington. Lauren Boebert didn't mince words either. Tony Gonzalez resign now. Nancy Mace called the text messages disgusting and inexcusable. She emphasized that Regina told him directly he was going too far, that she pushed back, that he continued anyway. Mace made it clear zero tolerance for abusing power over subordinates. Party doesn't matter, title doesn't matter, power doesn't matter. There should be no free pass. But while parts of the MAGA wing demand accountability, the man who defines the movement chose a different path. Donald Trump gave Gonzalez his complete and total endorsement, praised him as a terrific representative, highlighted his military service, his deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, framed him as a champion of border security, energy dominance, tax cuts, and the Second Amendment. That's how this machine works. Loyalty over ethics. Optics over accountability. If you bend the knee to Trump, you're protected. If you threaten the power structure, you're cast out. This is the same Trump who has built an entire brand on attacking the so-called deep state, yet surrounds himself with individuals facing serious allegations. The same Trump who rails against corruption while rewarding it if it serves him politically. The same Trump who, after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, pardoned rioters, people who stormed the building to keep him in power. Now look at the broader context. This Gonzalez scandal is exploding just as the GOP is fracturing over Trump's economic agenda. Trump pushed aggressive tariffs on foreign goods, positioning himself as the ultimate defender of American industry. But the Supreme Court struck down key elements of his global tariff regime. Instead of accepting the ruling, Trump lashed out, attacking the judiciary. Even conservative legal voices are alarmed. Prominent commentators have described Trump's attacks on the Supreme Court as disgraceful, warning that undermining judicial authority to protect personal political goals is a dangerous game. The Wall Street Journal editorial board criticized what they described as a tariff refund bait and switch, saying the government assured courts that refunds would be automatic, only for importers to now face uncertainty about whether they'll get their money back. Inside Congress, Mike Johnson admits there may not be enough appetite to codify Trump's tariffs into law. That's right. Trump's own party is hesitant to fully embrace his economic policies. Johnson says it's going to be a challenge to find consensus on tariffs, a challenge to unify behind legislation. So on one side, you have a sexual harassment scandal consuming a sitting Republican congressman. On another, you have economic chaos triggered by Trump's tariff war. On another, you have infighting over whether loyalty to Trump outweighs loyalty to institutional norms. And then there's the shadow hanging over all of it, Jeffrey Epstein. Nancy Mace recently said publicly that she believes there will be no further arrests tied to Jeffrey Epstein. She told Piers Morgan she has no confidence in the justice system and suggested Epstein may have been an intelligence asset, possibly protected because of what he knew and who he had information on. She said victims want justice, but the system may never deliver it.
Do you think there will be arrests in America?
No, I don't. I have no confidence in our justice system. I think it's a system of injustice. I think the way that these victims and others get justice are seeing people, if they're not going to go to jail, be removed from boards, be publicly shamed out of civil society, lose their companies. You're starting to see some of that. The dominoes are falling, but they're not falling fast enough. And that's why I'm really intent on getting all the files out there. I don't believe there's any more investigation. There are not going to be any more indictments because I believe Epstein was an intel asset, maybe of one or multiple nations. And that's why our country protected him and the information and videos and audio that he had on other world leaders. But until people go to jail, people want justice. And that's the only way we're going to get it right now.
Why does that matter here? Because it feeds into a larger narrative. Powerful men rarely face consequences. The system protects its own, whether it's sexual misconduct allegations, financial crimes, or abuse of authority. There's a pattern of delay denial and deflection. Tony Gonzalez once went on a media tour blasting Matt Gaetz, calling him a scumbag over allegations involving minors and drug parties. Allegations Gaetz denied. Gonzalez spoke with moral outrage. He talked about serving 20 years in the military and not tolerating scumbags in Congress. He positioned himself as someone with standards.
He will survive. Look, the House is a rough and rowdy place, but Mike Johnson is going to be just fine. I served 20 years in the military. It's my absolute honor to be in Congress, but I served with some real scumbags. Look, Matt Gaetz, he paid minors to have sex with him at drug parties. Bob Good endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.
But when Trump later nominated Gaetz for Attorney General, Gonzalez softened. He wished him well, said he hoped he'd do good things for the country.
President Trump announced he was nominating now former Congressman Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. I want to play you what you had to say about him back in April.
I served 20 years in the military. It's my absolute honor to be in Congress, but I served with some real scumbags. Look, Matt Gaetz, he paid minors to have sex with him at drug parties.
Matt Gaetz has denied those charges, but your reaction to his nomination?
There's not one person that I know of that hasn't met Matt Gaetz and has an opinion. So I wish him well. I hope he goes on and does good things for our country.
You would like to see him get that nomination?
I would like to see him go do good things for our country.
But wait a minute. What you just said is he's a scumbag. You want him to be confirmed?
I want him to do good things for our country. I want everyone to do good things for our country. And the division, the more we can be united under this unified government, I think the better off. His vote in Congress is certainly going to be missed. We have a razor thin margin in the House. We have some real things to get done, like the spending package. The Farm Bill is very important. The National Defense Authorization Act. All those things need to happen.
Because that's how this works. Outrage when it's convenient. Silence when it's strategic. And now Gonzalez is the one under scrutiny. Speaker Johnson was asked whether Gonzalez should resign. He said the allegations are serious, but investigations need to play out. He pointed to his opposition to expelling George Santos before conviction as evidence of his consistency. He argued that accusations alone shouldn't force someone out. When pressed on whether Gonzalez deserves re-election, he walked away. That's leadership. Walking away. This is the MAGA movement days before the State of the Union, divided, defensive, chaotic. Trump endorsing a scandal-plagued congressman. Female Republican lawmakers demanding resignation. The Speaker, hedging. Economic policy in disarray. Conservative media personalities openly criticizing Trump's reaction to the courts. And at the center of it all, the American people watching a political party implode under the weight of its own contradictions. Let's be clear, accountability should not be partisan. If a Democrat engaged in the same behavior, texting subordinates for explicit photos in the middle of the night, MAGA would demand immediate resignation, prosecution, prison. They would chant, "Lock him up." They would flood social media with outrage. But when it's one of their own, suddenly, it's let the investigation play out. Suddenly it's endorsements. Suddenly it's silence. This isn't about party labels. It's about power. It's about whether powerful men can use their positions to pressure subordinates for sexual gratification and then hide behind political alliances. It's about whether loyalty to Trump outweighs basic standards of conduct. Trump's endorsement of Gonzalez sends a message: stay loyal to me, and I will stand by you. No matter what, that's not draining the swamp. That is the swamp. And as the State of the Union approaches, the optics could not be worse. A party claiming moral high ground fractured by scandal. A leader attacking the judiciary for ruling against him. Economic uncertainty fueled by impulsive trade policies. Allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse of authority splashed across headlines. This is not strength. This is instability. We are anonymous. We do not take sides in partisan warfare. We expose patterns. We expose hypocrisy. We expose the rot that spreads when accountability disappears.